and we're not talking about COVID, which is a great change of pace. But rather, we're talking about one of our favorite topics, which is the governor's efforts to modernize our state government. So, like most states, Connecticut is well behind the times in our use of technology. But over the last couple of years, we've made great progress in getting caught up, even in the midst of this global pandemic over the last 11 months now. And our goals in this effort are really in three big categories. First of all, we're looking to improve services. We want to meet people's expectations in 2021 of how easy it should be to complete routine transactions and not have to go take half a day off of work and go wait in line to get something done. Our second goal is to reduce cost. The more self-service we can provide to people, not only does it make their life easier, it makes our life easier and helps mitigate the amount of manual work we have to do behind the scenes, helps us mitigate the risk of a lot of the retirements that are coming up, and provides different career paths and more exciting career paths for a lot of our employees as well. And then finally, it's about making better use of our data also. We are moving away from siloed systems in each of our agencies to more cloud-based platforms where we can much more easily integrate to improve the services we provide and to inform policymaking with new insights from that data. So under the leadership of our state's Chief Information Officer, Mark Raymond, and in partnership with many of our commissioners and OPM, we've been making great progress. Over the summer, we launched business.ct.gov, a new online platform for one-stop shopping for businesses, and we've had thousands of new businesses started up with the use of the tools there, even in the midst of this pandemic. We announced back in the fall new systems at Department of Revenue Services, which have significantly improved and modernized our tax collection processes. Our Department of Consumer Protection recently announced that we've got all of our occupational licensing now moved online. Our new paid leave authority stood up our platform there in record time against very aggressive statutory requirements to get that up and running this year. And then today we're gathered for another exciting announcement here at DMV, where we're moving some additional services online in a really exciting way. And I'm delighted to turn it over to the woman who's been leading the charge there, Commissioner Bongi Magubani. Commissioner? Commissioner, you're muted.
Apologize for that. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I'm so pleased to be here to provide an update of where we are as a DMV in terms of aligning with the governor's vision. I'll just quickly take everyone back to roughly almost 2 years ago. On April 22nd, 2 weeks into the job, I attended the governor's cabinet meeting where he shared his vision around modernizing Connecticut. And in that vision, he talked about using technology to bring the state to 21st government. He talked about making Connecticut one of the states that was most cost efficient, data informed, and results driven. And he also talked about digitizing and streamlining digital services, which meant for DMV, it meant getting people out of the line and online. I've been in the job for 2 weeks, and the governor, and I shared my vision for the governor for 90 days. He pushed back and said, yeah, I get your 90-day vision, but where are you going to be in 5 years? And I said to him that I envision Connecticut citizens sitting in their houses, some in their sweatpants, some in their pajamas, receiving an online invitation to complete their driver's license renewal. And at that point, I said to myself, wow, it was because the governor was so clear in what he expected. Well, here we are 2 years later, and I'm so pleased to announce that on November 27th, the DMV actually launched a pilot program to roll out a new driver renewal process service online. Back then, we invited 35 people and we called them friends and family because we really needed to test drive the process. And we have steadily rolled it out to more and more people. And today we've rolled it out to close to 100,000 people. And we've had over 20,000 respond and hands-free apply for a renewal license and receive it in the mail within 10 days. This is just the first of many online services that we plan to roll out. Within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be rolling out driver renewal online. That's already in test pilot. We're going to be allowing Connecticut citizens to look for their driver history online. That should be available within the next 3 weeks. And then very shortly after that, citizens will be able to change their addresses. Believe it or not, in the past, we either had to submit a piece of paper asking the DMV to change your license. So we're very pleased with the progress that we're making. We're in line with the governor's vision, and like many state agencies who are going online instead of inline. And I will, for right now, turn it over to the deputy who will actually show you the video. And then after that, we'll further talk about what's next and where's the DMV going in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner and I are very proud today, though, to stand with Governor Lamont and obviously COO Commissioner Josh Cabal to tell you about some significant steps DMV has taken to modernize and make online transactions convenient, reliable, and easy to do. Under their leadership and direction, we are working to improve residents' basic day-to-day interactions with the Department of Motor Vehicles and to make sure that state government works for the residents in the most efficient and modern way. It's not unfair for residents to ask government to do everything it can to make their lives easier and help improve the quality of life for them. Believe me, I have heard many complaints over the years that working with the DMV can sometimes be frustrating and all too well for a lot of years. But we're here today to announce and talk about the significant steps that have taken to make online transactions easier, simpler for the public and all the residents of Connecticut. These are real-world practical solutions that the residents have already begun experiencing through the hard work of the DMV employees who have stepped up to help Governor Lamont bring in important technological improvements to their experience with our agencies. You know, it wasn't too long ago that you may have had to take time off of work, find a babysitter, or even leave your family to spend time at DMV to ensure that you got your transaction completed in the right way. Now, by using modern tools, modern technologies, we are empowering the citizens, our customers, to conduct these transactions on their time when they want to do it. That's a powerful of the technological innovations we have implemented that are helping our residents of Connecticut. And I agree with the commissioner. The commissioner told Governor Lamont in his first joint commissioners meeting held in the old judiciary room at the state capitol that the goal was to have DMV get modernized and to enable residents to carry out their processes without getting out of bed. She has challenged all the DMV employees to always keep this residents, our customer, top of mind during these exciting projects and never forget that they are here to serve them in all we do. We're all proud to announce that today we have reached a significant milestone and achievement for the Connecticut motoring public. I'd leave you with this, and I mean this sincerely, folks. If today you can sit at your kitchen table with your mobile phone and order anything from Amazon in a simple way, it's not too much to ask our government to respond in a similar way. And today we can say that we really made historic and significant directional change for the convenience, reliability, and accurate transactions for Connecticut consumers. So with that, I would like to ask Sean Formica, our Director of Communications, to show us a quick 3-minute video how this all works. Sean, take it away.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. As the Deputy Commissioner mentioned, I am going to show you the DMV's new driver's license renewal service. Once you get to the webpage for the renewal service on your device, the first thing you'll do is enter your key demographic information as it appears on your driver's license. We ask for this information in order to confirm your identity and match with our records in the DMV system. After you enter your information and hit continue, the system validates your identity. After validating and confirming your identity information, the system shows what we have on file about you so you can review it. The system shows information such as your type of license, current license expiration date, etc. If any of this information shown is no longer valid and changes need to be made, you can schedule an appointment at a DMV branch to make such changes. If the information shown is still valid and no changes are required, you can go to the next screen. At this point, we will collect your preference for communicating electronically with the DMV. You can either use your mobile phone number or email address. We are collecting this information for future communications with updates and reminders either via text message or emails. Once you provide this information, hit Next. In accordance with state statute, we offer the opportunity to register to vote or change your party affiliation on your voter record. This way, you do not need to separately interact with the state to record your voter registration information. We also offer the opportunity for you to opt in to the Organ Tissue Donor Registry if you so choose. At this point, the system has collected all the required information from you for your renewal request. By hitting Next, the system summarizes the information collected from you so that you can review and verify once more. Upon reviewing and confirming the information on this screen, the system then collects your payment details, including your billing address, as well as your desired shipping address and credit debit card information. Once you submit this information, the system charges your credit or debit card for the fee amount shown on the screen. As soon as the credit debit card transaction is complete and successful, the system will notify you that you have successfully renewed your driver's license. Note that on this page provides a receipt including a receipt number. For your records, you may opt to print or make an electronic copy of this receipt. We also email or text the receipt number to you based on your communication preference. This completes your online renewal transaction. It's that easy, right, Deputy Commissioner?
Thank you, Sean. Absolutely. And as we stated before, everyone deserves the same modern, convenient online experience they get when they're shopping or banking, when they're dealing with state government. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the governor, Governor Lamont.
Hey, thanks, Tony. And look, hats off to Josh, Bongi, Tony, and the team. This is really important for a number of reasons on a personal basis. I've been through a few campaigns now, and everybody loves to beat up the DMV as sort of an example of government that can't get out of its own way, bureaucracy, disrespect for John Q. Public, whatever the excuse might be. So you're right, Bongi. When we first got together, I said, we got to tell a different story about DMV. This is forward-facing. This is how people not just see getting their license renewed, but it says something about government. And it was really important that we show that we can do this better, we can do this efficiently, and we make this a lot easier experience for the customer, and think about you as a customer. I'm never going to say it's being delightful renewing your license, or making it as good as we possibly can. And my hat's off to you both in this sense as well. Everybody always says we're going to change things, we're going to make it better. You're showing that less than 2 years later, we're already doing it. We're already doing, online license renewals. And we're doing it sort of in the nick of time because When we first came on board, the first thing we did was delay that period of time that you have to get your license renewed from every 6 years, I think it was, to every 8 years, Tony. And we just did that to make it easier for you and to shorten up those lines. But now, given COVID, it's been a while. We have some backlog in terms of people who've got to get their licenses renewed. We gave them a little extra time to do it, but now time is coming due. So being able to do this online in real time will make your life a lot easier. And just imagine how cumbersome it could have been if everybody still had to drive to the office to get it done. It's also really important. More broadly speaking, we're looking about what state government's going to look like in 2 years, 4 years. About the number of people who are thinking about retiring, and Josh has got to think about that as well. So obviously, we're going to have more people able to register online, able to do that quicker, easier, more efficiently. As Bongi points out, whatever that means in terms of people at DMV or DMV people telecommuting, it's going to be probably more efficient in terms of personnel. But if Josh and I have learned one thing during COVID, and especially during this vaccination thing, not everybody does it online, no matter how easy we try and do it. Folks of a certain age, like my age, sometimes don't always get it online. So we're still going to have that functionality that you need to be able to do it in person with an office. But more broadly, I think you see how DMV is respecting the customer and making this a lot easier to do and more efficient for us as taxpayers as well. And last thought, after a year of COVID, Josh mentioned, what we're doing in terms of consumer protection and online licensing. Obviously, I've talked a lot about what we're doing in telehealth, a lot of what we're doing about virtual learning. It's just sort of fitting that as we work into the virtual universe to make our government more efficient, DMV has taken the lead and is now virtual license renewal as well. And I still don't want people waiting in long lines for a whole variety of different reasons, and COVID is one of them. And I do want to make Josh feel right at home on a afternoon and just say our COVID numbers, again, for the last 24 hours are down. They're stable, less than 4%. Our 7-day average, less than 4%. Our hospitalizations are down a little bit. But I think the days of waiting in long curling lines at DMV or waiting to vote and lines in general are going to be coming to an end. And it's coming to an end because you promised that you were going to get this online, Bongi and Tony, and you delivered. And I love people that deliver on what they say they're going to do. Hope it makes a difference for each and every one of you.
Thank you, Governor. I should have mentioned, shortly after we opened from COVID, we actually moved to an appointment system where now on average, it's a 25-minute trip to the DMV. You make your appointment, do everything that we can to make sure that you have the right credentials and the right documents. And so the online is really working for us. So you're not seeing a lot of lines at the DMV. Folks are coming in at their appointed time, getting their transactions done and getting on with the rest of their lives. So I'll turn it back to Josh. I don't know if Josh has any other comments.
No, I think we can open it up to questions.
Okay.
All right, thanks. We'll start with WTNH. All right, NBC Connecticut.
Hi, I know you went over the timeline, but can you clarify when exactly we're moving from the pilot program to the first day when anyone in Connecticut can renew their license online?
So we piloted starting in December, and in January, we sent out to all residents whose licenses expired through December. Effective February 15th, we'll be inviting residents whose licenses start to expire April 1st. And so so anybody that's expiring on April 1st, we'll send out an invitation, and they have the option of doing it online or, based on their preference, making appointments or coming to the office.
So will it always be by invitation only, or will there come a point where you just are expected to know, look at your license, know when it needs to be renewed and make that appointment, or do that online yourself?
I think we will continue to invite, but we won't necessarily need a PIN as we move forward. Right now, because it's a new system, we wanted to make sure that all the connections were working. So the first phases were invitation with PIN, but really similar to how we handle the registration renewals. We send people a notification, your car needs to be renewed, you can go online. So we're using the same model, but we won't necessarily have a PIN in the future.
And then does this mean there will no longer be a grace period or an extension as we've seen throughout the pandemic?
Actually, the pandemic extension was from March 2020 to December 31st, 2021, which means that residents whose license expired March 1st, effective March 30th, there will no longer be a grace period, and they'll start having to pay the late fee. That's why we're starting on February 15th to send out notices alerting people that your license needs to be renewed. You'll send an initial letter, and then as a follow-up, we're also planning to send postcards. So we're going to really do a lot to communicate to people so that they're not surprised by the late fee.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The Hartford Current.
Hi there, everyone. Once you do this online, I'm not totally clear on your actual driver's license. So will they mail you a new license with an updated date on that, or how exactly will that work? In case, you get pulled over by a state trooper, not that any reporters would be speeding, but you get pulled over. You should.
Well, let's assume that so we're telling you that your license is expiring 45 days before it does. And you will go online, put your information. As soon as you pay, you should get it, which is why it's really important. If you saw that you have to verify your mailing address, or you need to tell us where you need the license sent. And it'll actually be sent to you within 5 to 10 days.
Yeah, because Chris, right now what happens if you had to get your license renewed, you would come to the DMV, all right? You would do it, and then they would mail you the new one, which would take 7 to 10 days. So this really isn't changing the structure of it. You're still getting it mailed, even though you've done it online.
Okay.
5 years ago, DMV went to central issuance, where once you request and pay for your license, it goes to a central unit that then submits and has the licenses created and mailed to you.
How about the concept of getting your picture taken? I'm sure a lot of us have gone to AAA and gotten our picture taken. How does that all work?
Well, for right now, as you know, you can extend twice. People. So a couple of years, people have been coming in, so they have fairly new pictures, and you have an opportunity to keep the same picture for an additional up to 8 years. So and then after that, you'll then have to renew the picture. But right now, we can actually use the photos on file unless they're, I think, older than 16 years. Somebody online can correct me, but we do have time to catch up with technology to work through how in the renewal, you'll be able to, if you don't want to come in, address the pictures. We don't have those answers as of yet.
And can I also just ask one question about the elderly? A lot of us have had the elderly on our minds with COVID, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are there any different rules for someone who is elderly? By that, I mean an 87-year-old person. Does their license get renewed for 8 years until they're 95? Or are there any different rules for elderly people? Because maybe some of them shouldn't be on the road.
They can renew for 2 years. That's an interesting question, because we do get a lot of calls from family members asking us, is there something that we can do to make it more difficult as people get older? And they're asking if the DMV or the state can implement some statute. And so far, we haven't been able to do that. So, but they renew for 2 years.
And that starts at what age?
I'll have to get back on with you.
Okay. I'm just thinking about the elderly lately.
Yep. Interestingly enough, we got a letter from a 96-year-old thanking us because her husband was able to renew online, and he's 96. So it's kind of interesting. But I will follow up with an answer to your question.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris. Moving on to the Connecticut Mirror.
I'm good.
All right, the Republican American.
Thanks very much. How will drive-only licenses be handled for immigrants without legal status in Connecticut?
Right now, they're not part of the initial rollout. We need to, so some transactions within the DMV require original credentials. And so we're kind of working through, but for right now, they're not part of the plans for the next 3 releases.
Would there be any conflict with any federal statute, regulation, or requirement? Is that something that's being explored?
When you say would there be conflict, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're not doing drive only at this point, because we
Yeah.
want to make sure that we understand all of the, the requirements.
Yeah, no, I was just basically wondering if there's something on the federal level that would not make that possible, but that's something that you're looking into. Okay.
Yeah, we're looking into that.
Okay, and then just another kind of scheduling question. When might people be able to go online to do a change of address?
Actually, we're rolling that out on February 15th. It's
Okay, maybe I
yeah, because it's
misunderstood.
really important. Because if you think about it, when you're changing your renewal, you change your address, we have to make sure that the security elements are in there. But it's similar to duplicates, which went out. That's the first phase that went out on the 23rd or 25th. It's not tied to a change of address. Both duplicates and driver's licenses are going to be rolled out with a change of address feature on the 15th.
Okay,
And with that said, Paul, that stay tuned, because obviously this isn't the only piece that we're going to be modernizing. There'll be other ones
Sure.
that'll be coming forward.
and just one last question for me. Commercial driver licenses included in this?
Nope, not yet.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
No.
Why not then?
We're just like.
Oh, the
any-
credential issue?
Excuse me, I didn't.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The same thing, the issue with the credentials, they have to present original credentials or something?
It's more the timing, really. We're trying to roll things out, and so we've got release 1, which was the license. Release 2, driver history, ID renewals, driver history, as well as in alignment with change of address. We're now packaging release 3, which will include placards, online license plate cancellations. And I don't have the details of the future releases beyond that,
Okay.
but we're looking at everything to see what drives the most traffic. We have made some enhancements in support of CDL drivers, and I'll let the deputy share, some of the online items that we've delivered for CDLs.
Yes, you can do. Good afternoon, Paul. As the commissioner stated, we've got this CVO portal that does the MedCert for CDL commercial drivers. But I just want to touch upon what the commissioner said too, is that, we did the pilot program because obviously these are things you want to roll out in a very safe manner, right? We don't want to just bombard everyone to do this. We want to make sure that everything we're doing is correct. So therefore, there's no fallback in regards to any repercussions. And I think as the commissioner stated, you'll start seeing that with other transactions in the future. We'll do another pilot maybe with CDL holders. Is there something that we might have missed in that group where we need to make sure we check off all the boxes? That's how we launch things to make sure that the consumer has the best experience when it comes to DMV initiatives.
And really what's really exciting about this phase 1 is that we now have the platform that has been fully tested and will allow us to add more and more transactions. Really, the hard work was establishing the foundation to be able to do this moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Paul. Moving on to Connecticut News Junkie. All right, Fox 61. News 12. WTIC. The Associated Press.
Thank you, Rob. I just wanted to check, will we still have AAA locations where you can renew your license?
Absolutely. In fact, we just, we opened a location, a partner location that was joint Nutmeg AAA in Glastonbury. So yes, we will.
And Governor, while we have you on the phone, there were a group of Democrats today that unveiled like a $3 billion proposal. They want you to declare a fiscal emergency so that they can vote to exceed the spending cap. They have all these different proposals in terms of COVID relief. They include everything from one-time direct payments to various taxes to lowering the taxes on people earning the earned income tax credit. I wondered if you had any response to this.
I'm not sure that it's necessary. I mean, fiscal emergency, we're going to have a surplus 2 years consecutively for the first time in a long time. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods. I look at the next 2 years, they are more complicated. But that said, we have a lot of time to see where the economy goes. We have a long time to see, or some time to see anyway, what we can expect from the federal government in terms of state and local aid, which will make an enormous difference. As you know, we have the largest rainy day fund in history that is there just to make sure that you don't have to raise taxes or cut social services during an emergency or during a recession, so that we're prepared for where we are right now. I don't think this is any time to be talking about great big tax increases.
They seem to see this as an opportunity not just to deal with the immediate fallout from COVID, but trying to deal with issues going forward, equity issues. They're talking about, fully funding the ECS formula, things like that. Do you expect your budget will have that more of a forward-looking approach, or are you going to focus more on the immediate needs in terms of COVID?
No, not only do we fully fund ECS with the CARES Act money, our schools are going to get more money than they have before, and well deserved, given the nature of where we are in this economy. We're trying to figure out now in terms of the CARES Act money we've got and what we're going to probably see sometime in February, how long that plays out. I think it's going to be over a couple of years, is my sense, at least in terms of education, Sue. So we're working right now with guidance for our superintendents of school, how they'll be able to creatively use that money. For example, kids have been out of school an awful long time, so you may want to make a commitment to social workers in the school to make that easier, that transition for kids who have been so isolated for so long to get that. I think we're in a relatively good place to take care of people, given the state we are as an economy, as a nation right now.
And did you have your conversation with the Pfizer CEO? And if so, how did that go?
It was great. He talked to Bill Lee and myself. Bill is the governor of Tennessee. We're co-chairman of the governor's COVID task force. And he was very forthcoming. We got a little connection because of the Connecticut thing, so that was nice. He gave me a great deal of confidence that Pfizer and Moderna are going to be able to ramp up dosages in the near term, meaning in a matter of a month or two, not 6 months or a year. And so we're trying to get some clarity on that, work with Jeff Zients, who runs the White House COVID, so that, Josh can give our hospitals and vaccine providers even better notice of how we can ramp up and get more people vaccinated a lot more quickly. It was a positive conversation.
Okay, good news. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sue.
All right, thanks, Sue. And last, the Connecticut Examiner.
Hi, I just wanted to confirm that this online renewal will only be able to be processed if there are no changes to any of the information on the license, or can you change information on the license while renewing your license?
So for right now, you get the license if there are no changes. In a couple of weeks, you'll be able to update your address to send, because we don't want to make sure that we have the right controls in place and to make sure that you're the person, that's your address. So you'll be able to update your address in the future.
Great, thanks. And is there a fee for online processing?
No, there's not. It's as if you're at the DMV.
Same fee as if you came
Yeah.
to the exactly.
Okay. And then lastly, I was curious if you have any estimate of like what proportion of DMV appointments are normally for license renewals? Like if you have any sense of how much this will decrease foot traffic?
That's a really good question that we are examining, but what we find, it's kind of, there's a couple of variables that are now at play because we now have appointments, we now have the online, the volume of, so we're working, I should say, we're really working to figure out what percent we should see decrease. In the pilot, we saw 20% of the people, doing it online. And so that's really the data point that we have and that we're tracking. And so we'll keep examining. We're hoping it gets higher. We are aware that in other states, it's roughly 40% of the people do their transactions online once it becomes available.
I think we'll see those numbers go up significantly after today with the public announcement and the other promotion that we'll do. We did see some people who were reached out to in the pilot who thought it might have been a scam, actually. They hadn't heard anything about it. It's like, wait a minute, I can't renew my driver's license online. This must be fake. So, now that we're confirming for the general public that this is real and getting the message out there, I'm sure we'll see the rates go up.
Yeah, I think we'll see upwards of 40%. And we did roll out the duplicate renewals yesterday, and with no advertising, we have already had 100 people in the last 24 hours process. So and I think we're seeing a really great response by Connecticut citizens in moving online. So we're hopeful.
To the commissioner's point too, Anna, to the commissioner's point, the feedback just from the pilot program, the emails and the responses from the individuals, it was such a smooth transaction. They couldn't believe it was happening from the DMV. And we alerted them, yes, it is. And it was great responses that we received.
All right, thank you. And that concludes our press conference. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, Bongi, bye, Tony. See you guys.
Governor.
Bye.
Take care.